So I wanted to explain my opinions on ultra-wide gaming now that I've had roughly a month to play games at this great aspect ratio and amazing resolution of 3440 by 1440. All right, what do I think? I think that's what everyone's wondering. I know a lot of people don't necessarily have ultra-wide gaming monitors. Even if you're a hardcore PC gamer, you're probably rocking a 144Hz 2560 by 1440 panel, or even a 144Hz 1920 by 1080 panel if you're still on 1080p. And even so, the next step up, judging by from what everyone's covering, is 4K gaming. That's like the thing, right? Everyone's still going crazy about 4K gaming. And I've had the opportunity to test out games at 4K. You guys know when I built this computer, 4K gaming was the main focus. I built it with the intention of playing games at ultra settings, 60 plus frames per second, or at least, 45 at the lowest, at 4K resolution, Ultra HD, 3040 by 2160, excuse me. So, that being said, I've had that prior, those 4 or 5 months that I've had the game at 4K resolutions just before my computer broke down, and I decided to jump ship from 4K and go on the 1340 by 1440 ultra-wide bandwagon. And what do I think? This has honestly been the best decision I have made in quite a long time, alright? Now, a lot of people, when I was debating whether to go ultra-wide or Ultra HD, I had a lot of splitting comments. A lot of people wanted me to say, you know what, 4K, it's going to be great, it looks amazing, and you get support for that. And a lot of people said go to ultra-wide, it's just a crazy new experience. And ultra-wide wasn't really on the map, it wasn't really on my radar until about a year ago, when I started seeing coverage of like the new models, like the Acer X34 Predator, like I own right now, or even the Asus ROG PG348Q that I believe is also released as well. And I noticed that we had ultra-wide monitors, but I never really felt compelled to go get them. That being said, it was really just about the curiosity of playing games at 4K. What would the quality look like? How amazing would it perform? And just what would games behave like? And how much greater detail would I see, playing these games at that resolution? Just what would I notice that I haven't noticed before? And certainly playing games at 4K was such a great experience. It was really about the clarity of certain objects. And I know a lot of people who haven't personally played games at 4K, you have that great excitement about it. And a lot of people want to say, hey, resolution doesn't matter. But you play a game in 4K and it's like, wow, I'm noticing details that I've never noticed before. The great positive thing about 4K gaming was that it completely obliterated any need of anti-aliasing. I was playing games at their native resolution without any anti-aliasing, and I was noticing zero, or at least very, very, very minimal jaggies. And it was fantastic because the pixel density is so high, and the pixels are so compact and pushed together, so closely, is that you just notice that the quality of the image is almost impeccable. That being said, it is still a 16 by 9 resolution, and even though you get a sharper image clarity, it's the same experience almost. Especially when games don't utilize the resolution to their full potential. For example, I played Fallout 4 completely, all the way through in 4K resolution. And while I loved being able to see trees with branches often miles away in the distance, the game still did not impress me at all. The quality of the visuals was still not up to par because the game's graphics, as we all know, were such a letdown. It was not made... the game was clearly made during the previous generation of consoles and then transitioned over into this next gen of consoles. And it still has that same look to it. And when you play, versus a game that I played, for example, let's put up Crysis 3, all right? One of the most graphically beautiful games. It looked amazing, and it really utilized the resolution well, and you can see details on the bricks on the building way off in the distance, and things like that. And even older games like BioShock Infinite, which just really made great use of the resolution with lighting effects and a different particle effects that they used. It just looked really, really, really good. it's just really a 50-50 experience, because the games that utilize the great resolution of 4K with great graphics and great detail really do make the experience pop, and you really notice a difference when playing games at 4K with those games versus some games that even are made today, like Fallout 4, for instance, which don't really push any graphical boundaries. They just look like a sharper presentation of what you got before. So 3440 by 1440 ultra wide gaming, a 21 by 9 aspect ratio takes the image and says, you know what? Instead of adding more pixels, what we're essentially going to do is widen your perceptive field of view here. We're going to basically take the image, make it wider so you can see more on screen, and it really opens up this frame. And my God, I know some people here are going to be so, because it's all about 4K right now, right? And it's the curiosity of not being able to play games at 4K, not knowing what 4K gaming is really like. But let me tell you something. Playing games at this resolution versus 4K is an infinitely better experience than anything that 4K was offering. And while I love the pixel density and the improvements that 4K brought with zero use of anti-aliasing needed, and just the clarity of the image in perspective, what I got by going over to the ultra-wide bandwagon was just this inability to go back to a 16 by 9 screen. I mean, when I'm playing games here, and I think to myself, you know, what this would look like on my old monitor, on my old 4K monitor, I almost feel like I have to squint my eyes, because this monitor, this is a 34-inch monitor I have, right? So if we condensed it down to a 16 by 9 format, this would actually be the same size as my 4K monitor. And I'm staring at this, and I notice because cutscenes in a lot of games, pre-rendered cutscenes are still 16 by 9 with black bars. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, this is so small. Like, this is really tiny. And this resolution makes such great use of the screen. I mean, the problem with 4K is that it's just not ready yet. When I'm on Windows and I have 4K, I have to use like 150% scaling, and so the extra screen space that you would normally get with 4K is completely lost because everything is so tiny, right? So you have to zoom everything in. Windows automatically puts up 150% scaling with Windows 10. You have to zoom everything forward, and so what you ultimately get is the pixel density of just your standard your standard 2560 by 1440p display. You don't really get any more screen space. Versus with this resolution, 3440 by 1440, you not only get zero scaling issues, but you get to see more. And so it really does help from a desktop perspective. When you're on web pages, you get all this extra space. I can put like a movie here on the corner and put like Word documents here, and just have all this space to mess around and to see and do whatever I want to do without the loss of scaling issues that was brought into the forefront with 4K resolution. So that being said, not all games support 3440 by 1440. I'm going to bring up Fallout 4 again. Fallout 4 actually does not support this resolution. So what you have to go doing is download a few mod files, click and drag. It takes about 10-15 minutes to do all this. So it isn't that big of a deal, but you still have to put in some extra work for some of these games. And the mod, and thank God, when Fallout 4 is about like 7-8 months old right now, right? And so we have pretty much perfect ultra wide support for it at this moment. It's still not great, but it's much better than it was at launch. And that being said, you have to go in and do all this extra work for certain games. There are some games that support it extremely well. Like I just played Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and that's a game that utilizes the resolution very well. You see more, you have this great field of view slider, the game looks amazing, there's no pop-in or issues like that on the sides of the screen. And that being said, you also get just great detail as well. I mean, 3440 by 1440 is 40% less pixels than 4K. So it isn't that much of a loss. And at the same time, we now have the technology to push these panels that are running this resolution at a much higher refresh rate. So this is a 100 hertz native refresh rate. And I came from the Asus PG248QE. All right, this was a 1080p 144 hertz TN monitor. And when I went to 4K, I knew it was going to be hard, and it was hard because I gave up 144 frames per second. I know a lot of people, oh, you're not playing games at 144 frames per second. No, I may have not been hitting those high frame rates at that time, right? But it was just the desktop experience, being able to move my mouse cursor around and seeing just very smooth detail. And it's the stuff like that that you miss. And I missed that because 4K is capped at 60 hertz. We don't have the technology right now to have 4K at anything higher than 60 hertz, not even push it to 75 hertz, 100 hertz, 120 hertz, 144 hertz, 200. That's like way far and beyond. And with DisplayPort 1.4 coming out soon, I believe it's 1.4. If it's not, it's 1.3. We're supposed to be getting 4K displays at those high refresh rates, but that's at least another year away. And so we're still waiting for 4K panels to really catch up. And so with 4K, you're really trading the smoothness, the smoothing experience for just a basic clarity experience. And there's a lot of people who are going to say, well, who needs more than 60 frames per second anyway? 60 frames per second is enough. It's smooth enough. You don't need more than that. But you have to keep in mind that the PC market is a different perspective. A lot of people who are saying things like high refresh rates don't matter never experienced a game in a high refresh rate. If you never played a game at greater than 60 frames per second, then you're probably not even going to give a shit. And you're probably going to say, hey, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't make a big experience. 60 frames per second is fine for me. But when you've had that experience of playing games at 100 frames per second, 120 frames per second, 144 frames per second, and you can play even the older games that can go up that high in terms of your refresh rate, it's an almost impeccable experience. Everything is clear when it moves. There's no jittering. There's no blurring effect. Everything is smooth motion. And I love that because I gave up 40% of my pixels by going away from 4K, but then I also gained an extra 40 hertz from 60 with this panel. I have 100 hertz refresh rate, and it's such a beautiful experience, and I can't go back. I cannot go back to any 60 hertz panel from here on forward. You missed it too much, and when you had that experience, it really just adds this great amount of depth that was missing before. What Ultrawide Gaming brings is this new perspective of gaming. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate at the moment, and I can't imagine playing this game. Like, I tried playing this game at 4K, and it was okay, right? And it looked amazing. The graphics were still amazing, and it really brought out the clarity in the game's visuals. But playing it with this extra widened field of view, especially a third-person game like this, and even going back to play the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider game earlier this year, it's just, you can't go back to it. You really just can't. You can't go back to a 16:9 monitor after experiencing this. Everyone told me that when I got this monitor, I was not going to be able to go back. And I sat there saying to myself, you know what, I'm going to keep that in mind, but I also have that experience of gaming at 4K. And let me just tell you that I don't miss it one bit. I loved what 4K brought to the table in terms of the clarity of the image, and it completely obliterated any use of anti-aliasing methods that we needed thus far. But what this resolution brings is just a new perspective of playing games. I am so used to looking off and seeing this great field of view. The monitor is curved, and so it sort of gives this impression that this experience is sort of wrapping around you, and it's so perfect. It's so beautiful. You cannot go back to a standard monitor like this. And for anyone who hasn't experienced ultra-wide gaming, I would still recommend picking up an ultra-wide monitor just for general desktop use. When I'm editing videos on this monitor, I have such a huge timeline to see now. I don't have to zoom in or move my mouse cursor over to the side to see what else is on my timeline. I get this huge, wide play space to really deal with, and it really helps making editing videos such a pleasure. And so I want everyone who's still using like a 16:9 monitor, even if you don't have a gaming computer, please just look into getting this. And they're cheap now. They're actually getting a lot cheaper these days. So you have you can get like a 2560 by 1080 ultra wide monitor that's like 29 inches. You can pick that up for less than $500 these days, about $400 or $500, a pretty decent one with an IPS panel and everything, and it's really awesome. So I mean, let's talk about the different ultra wide resolutions really quick before I end this video. Right, so you have 2560 by 1080. I have personally experienced this. Actually, I kind of motivated my parents, both my parents actually. I got my mom to get us a 2560 by 1080 29-inch ultrawide monitor for the office in the house. And it's so awesome seeing, you know, they love it, they're using it, and they're like, wow, this is pretty awesome. My stepfather does web design and a bunch of marketing stuff and things like that. And so he's looking at this monitor, and it really helps. It really just helps him with his work, and he's able to see a lot more on screen, and he's just able to mess around, and just the amount of screen space is he's so used to it by now that he doesn't even want to go back to it. Then I have my dad, who actually I got him to buy two 29-inch 2560 by 1080 panels, and he uses them side by side, and he's like all over it. He doesn't. It's such a better experience than what he had before with his two 16 by 9 1080p monitors, that it just brings this great field of view and this great amount of screen space, and he loves it. He can't go back, and people walk into his office all the time and say, "Oh my God, this is an incredible experience." So really, I don't. If you're a content creator, I'm gonna encourage you to spend the extra bucks on a 3440 by 1440 resolution, because the extra pixel density with 1440p versus 1080p is great, and there's no scaling issues. You get a lot more screen space. You can fit 4 Word documents side by side by side by side, and it's an amazing experience. If you're a content creator, if you make YouTube videos, if you edit YouTube videos, even for work or whatever, you need a monitor like this. It doesn't have to be just strictly for gaming, and they're going down in price these days to the point where they're actually very, very affordable. I would just solely recommend you pick one of these up. It's amazing, and it's really going to change your perspective, not just on gaming and stuff like that, but your whole perspective on the desktop world and PC, and just a PC in general. You know, get a monitor like this, get this resolution. It adds so much, and it helps so much, and you become so used to it that anything before that you were using just seems stupid. You look at a 16 by 9 monitor these days, and you're just like, this is so dumb. Why would I want to go back to this? I don't care if it's 4K, 5K, 6K, 8K. Why would I want to go back to this? It's such a small perspective, and this is the whole point with ultrawide gaming, is the perspective. It's 16 by 9, although the standard is so constrained to what you get used to with a 21 by 9 monitor. And there's even talks about an upcoming 32 by 9 display with much greater field of view and things like that. And that's way off into the future, but I just would encourage anyone, even if you're not getting into PC gaming at all, get a monitor like this. If you're editing videos, it's amazing, and you'll never want to go back to a monitor that's a 16 by 9 display after experiencing what this is like. I encourage everyone to go pick one of these up. You can go to your local Fry's or any of your local electronic retail people, and just they probably have one of these set up. And it's a great experience. And even so, if you guys have any questions about it, I studied monitor technology for years before I picked one of these displays out, and so I honestly know what to look for. And if you guys want any help with picking out a great display, you guys can contact me on Twitter, and I'd be more than happy to help, or even leave a comment in this video, and I'd be more than happy to help. It's just really a great resolution, a great aspect ratio, and it really changes your perspective on the whole desktop and PC use in general. Excluding games, this is an incredible experience. And again, you don't even have to be PC gaming on this. It's just an incredible experience. I encourage everyone to go pick one of these up. I hope that you do. And plus, to be honest with you guys, the support is really great, even for just general desktop use. Playing games and stuff like that, sure, you have those 1 or 2 games that come out, like Dark Souls 3 doesn't have ultra-wide support, so you have to mod it a little bit. And like I said, Fallout 4 didn't have ultra-wide support, but of all the games that came out, minus the Windows 10 games that have issues, those are just pretty much all games support this resolution and don't have a problem supporting it. And if not, there's a great modding community behind it. There's great software that just does it for you, and so it's an easy to do click and drag experience of like 2 or 3 files, and you're all good to go. All right, so Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think. I know some of you may have ultrawide monitors. Just tell people in the comments what you think of your experience, and you know, just let them know what you think of what it was like you moving over to a 21:9 monitor from a 16:9 display, and let people know what you're thinking and any concerns or pros and cons that you have. That would be great. All right, so I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you all for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions about picking up a display, or if you want to see other people's opinions, just check the comments down below, and I'll be happy to help where I can. Thanks, guys, and have a great one.
Secures the shroud.
We'll talk to the Maharaja again.
I will talk to the Maharaja. You will get your head looked at.
I'm sorry my capture hasn't done your plans.
You'd be safer on the train.
Even if you find the vault, you can't just walk into Buckingham Palace alone.
I won't be alone. I'll see you back at the train, Mr. Green.